Viewer question. Hey, Joe, you've mentioned several times that you have 83% of your investable assets in equities and 17% in fixed income. And that 17% is what you need from your investments along with any income sources like Social Security, pension, or uh, dividends, whatever you got, rental income. Um, why don't you have 30 years? If you have enough money to have 30 years fixed, why wouldn't you do that? You're 61, that takes you to 91. That sounds like you would have a no risk retirement. It may make you 50-50 or even 40-60 equities to fix, but why wouldn't you eliminate worries altogether? Great question. I love this question. And it makes me think. I don't think that I have the perfect plan. I have the perfect plan for me right now. Okay. And I run that plan by a certified financial planner and my two members of the retirement group. And not everybody agrees with what I'm doing, but they give me the pros and cons. So this is where I ended up. So let's dive into that. I want to talk about the pros and cons of having 10 years versus 30 years. Okay. Not saying one's right, wrong for you, but what I think about. So, 10 years, pros, scrolling down here. Um, Big one, inflation protection. If you're not a little bit stressed about inflation, or you think about inflation as a central challenge of your retirement plan, you're missing something. It's a big deal. Okay. Over 30 years, inflation is just going to gobble up most retirements, especially if you're leaning heavy towards fixed. If you're earning 3 or 4%, 1 year of 9% resets everything up to 9%. Okay. So um, even if the rest of the years are 2 or 3%, you have that big bump up and could be just destroying your retirement plan. So inflation, I want to protect against. Number two pro for having 10 years is growth potential. Stocks are my growth engine. And if you look at 10, 15, 20-year time periods, the variability in stock performance really kind of comes together. And I think it's less risk, especially when you factor in if inflation. So over a 15-year time period, less risk with equities, I believe. Okay, I'm not saying that's right. I believe that. Okay, and there's a lot of data to support that. Ken Fisher of Fisher Investments puts out video content. I listen to him a lot. Read his books. Um, in one of his books, Debunkery, he talks about that. If you want to dive deeper into that, debunkery, funny word, but look it up. Ken Fisher. Number three, flexibility. Okay, I don't always have to stay 83-17. I got flexibility in there. If markets go up or go down, life changes, health changes, I can change. Now, I will not make any of those changes unless I run it by my CFP that's provided for me or my retirement group that keeps me from making emotional decisions. I'm a pretty logical guy, but I want to protect times 10 making emotional decisions. And that's why I have that retirement group and I use Neil. You've heard me talk a lot about Neil. So flexibility. Psychological comfort is the number four pro of what I'm currently doing. I don't need to panic when the market drops 20%, 30%, 40%. I've got 10 years safe. I don't even think about it. 2022 was an ugly year, and 2020 was ugly. 2018 wasn't good. But I'm 7 years in, almost 7 years into this retirement. I'm shocked by that, by the way. But I've studied bear markets and the time to recovery out of a bear market. Don't just look at how long bear markets last. Look at how long it took to reach new highs. 10 years feels pretty comfortable. And I didn't start there, folks. I was at 3, and I bumped that up to 10 because of great market returns. I felt 10 years would help me take risk off the table. Won the game, stop playing, right? So number 5, This one's a little bit less for me, but tax efficiency, stocks, are taxed as long-term capital gains if they're in a taxable account. Um, if you have everything in like a bond or a money market fund or just a CD, you're paying ordinary income on that. So you got to watch where the taxes come. So number 6 pro is it avoids the sequence of return risk trap. That's 10 years does this for me. If the market goes down, stays down for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 years, I pull that out of fix. So that's really my sequence of return trap plan is 10 years. Okay, so that's one of the big pros what I'm currently doing. Number inside the cons, volatility. Number 1, you have to accept that a 20, 30% gut check, 40% gut check could happen. Could be more, but that volatility and seeing your net worth go down, you got to feel good about your plan. But so it's definitely a con that you have to like weather that storm. Related to that, number 2 is requires discipline. You can't flinch during these downturns. Number 3 is interest rate risk. The fixed portion, there's no guarantee that's going to be around 4%. It could be going down like it was in 2019 when I retired. You're getting 1% on any your fixed assets, and that's not keeping up with inflation. So yeah, the rates are good now, but where are they going to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years from now? Who knows? And bonds can go down. Remember 2022. Number 4 con to what I'm currently doing is, you need to look at your plan periodically. May need to rebalance, so I don't end up being 90-10 or 70-30. So you got to kind of look at your plan. That's a need. Retirement planning that if you think you're going to set it and forget it forever, that has a hefty price tag associated with it. I'm a kind of guy that I want my plan to be good and to be flexible and be able to adapt. Not emotionally adapt, but adapt to changing conditions. For example, if the fixed rate goes down to 1%, I won't be investing the same way. Okay. So that's just one example. And related to that, number 5 is more involvement. You have to stay engaged. Every 6 months, I have to spend a couple hours looking at my plan. I upload things into Boldin, stress tested. I talk with my retirement group. Monthly, really almost daily, I'm looking at some financial report. I'm looking at some blogger or some YouTuber on what they're doing to stay current on what's going on with tax law. But it's a hobby for me. So I do stay more involved. It's part of my engineering mind is I like to know what's going on. I don't just want money coming in every month. So let's take a look at the 30-year fixed. What if I had 30 years fixed and my portfolio was something like 50-50 or 40-60? What are the pros and cons as I see it? And you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me I'm crazy. Please do that in the comments. I can handle it. I may make a video based on what your thoughts are, and I may change, but it's going to have to be a great argument. So the pros of the 30-year fixed retirement is, you're spending money is safe. You buy an annuity and you just say, give me an annuity for the next 30 years. Now it's not going to be adjusted for inflation. Be careful. But I know exactly what my income is going to be. Just keeps coming in. It allows me to sleep at night. I don't really care what the market does. Related to that too is peace of mind, low volatility. Nothing happens. I don't see my portfolio drop by 50%. It's just steady Eddie, right? Number 3, there's no forced sellings. No matter how bad the markets get, until I'm 91, I won't be rebalancing or doing anything. It's a set it and forget it portfolio. Okay. Almost set it and forget it. Now, if you buy a CD that matures after 5 years or 3 years, or maybe you buy a tips ladder, okay, a 30-year tips ladder, And yeah, you could do that. Okay. Um, let's see. Number four, it's just easier mentality. You know, who needs something to worry about in retirement? It's just easier not to pay attention to the market. You don't have to rebalance. You don't have to manage, the drama of life and the economy. The mental load. That's a word I learned a few years ago. Mental load. My daughter says that all the time. Number five is the sequence of return risk is almost nothing. When you have that huge of a fixed buffer. So now the cons of going 30 years fixed, inflation erosion. And most of these people that I talk to that want to go 30 years fixed, they're the annuity people. I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm categorizing them as annuity people. Get an annuity that just pays all of that plus Social Security is all my expenses plus. Okay, but take a look at inflation. A lot of times people look at that annuity and say, "Hey, man, I got $50,000 of annuity coming in and 50,000 of Social Security. That's $100,000. Great. Social Security is adjusted for inflation. The annuity generally is not. And if it is, the payment is reduced a lot, a lot. Okay, so inflation, that's a big deal. That's the big issue. If you remember one thing about today's talk, it's inflation, inflation, inflation. A 3% inflation rate can cut your spending power in half in 24 years. In half. Huge, huge. And that's good inflation rate. Okay. Two, lower expected returns. You have a 50% equity portfolio. You could have returns of 2 to 3%. And that's huge compounding. Not to, it's hard for me not to take a little risk and capture some of the innovation, creativity, and all those men and women that are trying to make their businesses more profitable. I'm betting on them, and historically that's been a safe bet, and it's a safer bet as long as you're looking out 10, 15, 20 years. Number three is longevity risk. What if I live to 90? What if my wife lives to 100? That's not the time I want to be, if I have this 30 years fixed, when I'm 90, I don't want to be making any bold moves with my income and my assets. I don't want to be doing that. Now, maybe that would be time to go to a financial advisor, but that costs money. I'd rather set myself up for success. Um, Number four is taxes. A lot of fixed assets that you may invest in are targeted as ordinary income instead of capital gains, so taxes are going to be a bigger deal. Number five is opportunity cost. There's always an opportunity cost when you put your money in box A versus box B. I'm a big stock person. I had 100% stocks my entire working career until I got about 5 years out. I started to invest in a balanced fund, and then I started to position my bucket one towards when I retired. But I'm a big stock person. It's a horse that I rode into town on, and I'm planning on riding out on it. So, also six, is it a false sense of security to have 30 years? Looking at it today in 2025, it feels like zero risk, but is it? You're taking on a different kind of risk, and that is inflation. Now, some of these overlap, but when you buy that annuity or you have you could do a tips ladder. I think would be probably the best way that I would approach that, just so I would maintain today's purchasing power. I'd probably go with the tips ladder. But other people go annuities because they just don't want to have any risk. And I think they are taking on more risk than me when I'm looking at 10, 15, 20-year equity. Tell me I'm crazy, okay? So it's a big trade-off, okay? That's how I think about it. Um, There is volatility associated with owning stocks, but if you go out longer term, it's less and less. And it's just a game and the approach that I want to play. So I sleep at night great. I don't worry. Maybe I should, but I'm not worried right now of running out of money or having too much longevity and running out of money because of where I'm positioned. My wife and I live pretty frugally. We don't take out 4%. Okay, I'm substantially lower than that right now. Um, but it's a trade-off. There's no perfect portfolio. The portfolio must fit your personality, your stress level, how aggressive you want to be. Um, it's personal. And that's why when you hear YouTube advice, this is not advice, this is just for entertainment and education, and one man's experience. Um, you got to take that as an opportunity to learn more yourself and what's right for you. I am not suggesting anybody invest like me. I am sharing my experience to help you gain confidence in what you want to do and to understand how I made that decision so you can retire maybe 1, 2, 3 years earlier than you thought possible. Let me know in the comments, especially if you think I'm crazy. If you think I'm crazy, just say, Joe, you're crazy. Okay? It's Joe.